So this situation is just messed up all around. So me, 26-year-old male, and my now ex-fiance, 27-year-old female, had been dating for a little over 4 years when I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. Now here's the problem. As we were planning about the new house we were going to buy, I talked to her about a room for my mother in her 60s, as she would live with us after we got married. I had discussed with her many times while we were dating that my mom would live with us because, simply put, I'm an only child and my mom raised me as a single mother after she divorced my father, due to abuse. She never had a new boyfriend, nor did she ever remarry. Her entire life was dedicated to raising me alone, and my mom and I are each other's only living relatives. We have no family besides each other. My fiancé said that she did not want my mother living with us. When I asked why she didn't say anything when we were dating, she said that she thought I'd get over it and we could put her in a home. I absolutely refused this. I was furious because my mom had always treated her as her own daughter and had never been one of those crazy mothers-in-law that are rude and evil. I gave her an ultimatum that if my mother couldn't live with us, we wouldn't get married. And yeah, we broke up. Now her side of the family and her friends are calling me a jerk. But I don't think I did anything wrong since I made it clear when we were dating that my mother would live with us. So am I the jerk? Edit. I should have mentioned earlier that our family has a history of dementia settling in around the early 60s, and my mother has started to show signs of forgetfulness. That's why I want to keep her as close as possible. Edit 2. I will be the primary caregiver. She has plenty of savings to cover the cost of her treatment and 2 apartments in her name, one she currently lives in and one we have put on rent. After moving her in with me, I will sell one of them and hire a full-time nurse once her dementia starts getting worse. We were never planning on having children, nor did I ever expect her to quit her job or stay at home to take care of my mother. I understand that it'll be tough and it should be mainly my responsibility, but she raised me through tough times all on her own, and I will not turn my back on her now that it's my time to help her. My mother has only recently started showing signs of dementia. Up until a few years ago, she was doing just fine, but now her health is slowly starting to deteriorate. We are independently wealthy due to my mother founding and then selling her own company. Money will not be an issue, and I can easily hire help. Edit 3. You all are correct, but having my mother live with us was never the only option I suggested. I understand that what I asked for was a big request, so I was ready to buy a 2-story home or something like that, but she just wanted to put my mother in a home and be done with it. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. My father lived with us for 6 years after he had a stroke before he died, and it was difficult even though he drove and was mobile until the last few months. He was very pleasant to be around, and my husband and my children enjoyed his presence, but it was still hard. Extra cleaning, extra cooking, extra worry. I cannot imagine taking care of someone with dementia. My father-in-law had it and almost set their house on fire and was found wandering the neighborhood at night, and they had to place him in a home for his own safety. The comments on here are obviously from people who never lived with someone with dementia. OP loves his mother, which is commendable, but is unrealistic with his expectations for a successful marriage. He needs to plan for her future care now, but it shouldn't involve your future wife being her caretaker. She is right to run. Comment 2. Dementia patients need constant attention as the disease progresses. I wouldn't know what your fiancé was imagining, but could she have thought that your mother is living alone now just fine, so why have her move in with the 2 of you? You would lose all privacy. Newly married couples need privacy. Then, when the disease progresses, she would be put in a home. Unless you're extremely wealthy and can hire help, caring for a dementia patient is far too much for 2 people. If there is no way to salvage this relationship with her, then may I say have your mother move in with you now before you start another relationship. That way, any woman will know exactly what her future will look like with you. Also, you will get a chance to understand what you're thinking of taking on. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So after the whole breakup fiasco, things went from bad to worse. My ex, let's call her Jane, decided to spread rumors about me and my mom. She told everyone that my mom was this controlling witch who was trying to ruin our relationship. That's a lie. My mom's the sweetest person, and she's been nothing but kind to Jane. But Jane's best friend, who's always been jealous of what Jane and I had, took it to another level. She started this campaign to turn all our mutual friends against me. She even got some of them to believe that I was the one who was controlling, and that I was using my mom's condition as an excuse to keep Jane under my thumb. Can you believe that? And then, as if that wasn't enough, Jane's friend did something that really crossed the line. She hacked into my email and sent out messages to my colleagues and clients, making it seem like I was unstable and unfit to work. My reputation took a hit, and I had to spend days explaining and proving that it wasn't me who sent those emails. But here's where it gets really twisted. Jane's friend, in her quest to ruin me, didn't realize that one of the clients she emailed was actually a close family friend who knew my mom and me very well. He contacted me immediately, concerned about the email, and offered his help. With his assistance, we traced the hack back to Jane's friend. She was caught red-handed, and the backlash was immediate. People started seeing her for who she really was, a conniving person who would do anything to hurt others. Jane was mortified by her friend's actions. She came to me, apologizing for everything, saying she had no idea her friend would go that far. But the damage was done. I told her that her choice of friends reflected on her, and I couldn't just forget everything that happened. In the midst of all this, my mom's condition worsened. It was tough dealing with the stress from Jane and her friend while trying to take care of my mom, but it also showed me who my real friends were. They rallied around me, helping me with my mom, and supporting me through the mess Jane and her friend created. I sold one of my mom's apartments and hired a full-time nurse like I planned. The nurse is great, and she's been a huge help. My mom's still my top priority, and I'm doing everything I can to make her comfortable. As for Jane, she's been trying to make amends, but I can't just let her back into my life after everything that's happened. I've learned that some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. I'm focusing on my mom and rebuilding my reputation, one step at a time. Thanks for reading this update. My family ignored me for my talented sister, but when they begged for money after I made it big, I slammed the door in their faces and watched them squirm. Somebody suggested I share my story here and not feel guilty. I, as a child, was always neglected by my parents for my brilliant sister. I guess I was the accidental baby or the unwanted one. My sister was the diamond child. If people could buy stars, my parents would have bought her that too. As for me, I was her recycle bin, and she was horrible to me. My parents never bought me any new clothes. I had to wear her tomboyish grunge clothes, which I hated. Whenever my sister wanted something, my parents would turn to Jeannie. But if I asked for something, then Lord have mercy. So I had to pick up some small work, like walking a dog and cleaning the backyards of my neighbors, so that I could buy some clothes of my choice. She was a pick-me girl, so she never made a genuine connection or had any friends. So no one invited her to a sleep gathering, but fortunately, I made some really good friends and they knew about my situation. My parents would try to force me to take her with me whenever I was invited to any gathering. And there also, she would always try to hit on my friends' brothers. For the sake of my friendship, I stopped going on these sleepovers. As much as I hated her, God seemed to favor her because she was very talented in her studies. I was average. I was not the failed type, but not the topper type, whereas my sister was a 4 GPA type of student. Every holiday, my parents would take my sister on vacation but would exclude me. The last straw was when my sister kissed my boyfriend, and my parents took her side and let them date. So even after these, when my family had some financial problems, they thought it would be great to have me sacrifice my old private school and enroll me in public. But no, their diamond daughter would stay at the private school. I was never given any allowance, but my sister was given $2,000 per month. They gave her a Mac for Christmas, and I got a glitter pen. Of course, I didn't have any college funds at all, and I wanted to move out as soon as possible. So, as the stupid and rebellious person I was, I got a sugar daddy. I don't regret it because I wanted someone to care for me and fund me. It was a mutual thing, and he was not married or anything. He was just old, and I was 18, that's it. So, fast forward, I cut the family off. They never tried to reach out to me. I heard my sister got married from my friend. And yes, I wasn't invited. After mooching off my sugar daddy, we started dating, and I stopped spending his money after I got a job. And we are planning to tie the knot, yeah. So story. I got a random call in the morning, and surprisingly, that bounce matched my ugly sister. I wanted to cut off the call, but I wanted to hear what she had to say now. First, she started talking about her family, which didn't interest me at all. Then she went straight to business and asked me for money and told me how my ex-family was suffering. They invested in this business and they got a huge loss. I laughed and asked her if she thinks I would help her after 9 years of no contact. I do not even care if she dies or lives on the streets. That's not my problem. After that, I hung up the call. After an hour, my phone starts to be bombarded by unknown messages from my parents and their relatives calling me ungrateful and a jerk. Honestly, I may be a jerk, but I didn't understand the Ungaria role part. They are now demanding that I help them as they are now practically on the streets and my father has a failed kidney. So as a daughter, I should help him. Don't get me wrong, I am not that heartless. But after 9 years of them ignoring my existence, they demand money from me instead of asking me about myself. They don't even know if I have the money or not, but they just straight up demand it. I'm going to meet them this coming Sunday, but I have no interest in helping anyone. I'm happy about their misery, and I am going to meet them so that I can see the look of misery on their faces. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Wow. Take your fiance, he's what, about 75 years old? And say you work as a caregiver at less than minimum wage. Please, dress up in thrift store rejects and beg for money from them. They'll leave you alone fast enough. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Make sure you go with someone and record the meeting. Wouldn't put it past them to try and lie, saying you would give them money or that you owed them for something. Now for the update, thanks for sticking around to hear more of this mess. So I met them on Sunday, and let me tell you, it was a circus. My parents looking like they've been through a tornado, and my sister still with that smug look like she owned the place. They started with small talk, trying to butter me up. But I wasn't born yesterday. Then the bomb dropped. My sister's husband left her and she's pregnant. They were all looking at me like I was some ATM ready to spit out cash. I just sat there listening to their sob story, and you know what? It felt good to see them squirm. They were desperate, and for once they needed me. But I wasn't about to forget the past. I told them straight up, I'm not your savior. You should have seen their faces. It was like they saw a ghost. The next day, things got even crazier. My sister showed up at my place, uninvited, crying her eyes out. She said she was sorry for everything, that she was wrong, and she needed me. I almost fell for it, almost. But then I remembered the glitter pen. So I shut the door on her face. Harsh, maybe, but fair. Just when I thought I could breathe, my sugar daddy, now fiance, got a call. It was from my sister. She had the nerve to ask him for money behind my back. He told me everything, and that's when I knew I was right about her all along. She was still the same old snake, just in a different skin. I confronted her, and she didn't even deny it. She said she was desperate. But I was done playing the fool. I told her, "You made your bed, now lie in it." And with that, I cut her off for good. Thanks for reading. It's been a wild ride, but I'm standing my ground. My online date hides being trans and assaults me in my sleep. So I expose her lies and shut down her defamation campaign. Long story short, a few months ago, I, 28-year-old female, met this girl online. We chatted for a while. Everything seemed fine, so we decided to meet. We went to a club, had a few drinks, understood each other. She looked beautiful. We agreed on most opinions and attitudes, listened to the same music, just a beautiful date. Even so beautiful that I somehow lost track of time and I missed the last train home. She offered me to sleep at her place because a taxi was insanely expensive at this hour and across town. I agreed, but wasn't planning anything intimate on the first date. Movie, few more drinks, and at the end I was tired and wanted to sleep on the couch. She told me to go to bed with her and I was stupid enough to agree. Now I have to emphasize one thing. I'm homosexual. I'm not attracted to men, not attracted to their genitals. Honestly, I find them disgusting. I experimented a bit at uni, but always had a terrible moral hangover afterwards and felt dirty. So, not for me. I woke up sometime later. Something was sliding over my back parts. I was frightened, pulled the duvet, and weenie. She was awake, smiling at me and apologizing that she couldn't fall asleep because she was so aroused. I didn't know what to say at all. She was just trying to ride me in my sleep or jerk off at me or whatever. I sat up and wanted to leave, but she pulled me back to the bed. At that moment, instincts kicked in. I pulled away from her and ran out of the apartment. She tried to stop me, grabbing me, pulling me back, but no. It felt like intimacy attack, and I was so sick of it. On my way home, I wrote her that what she did bordered on intimacy attack, and that she should have at least told me about the fact that she has a weenie. I didn't want another date with her. After this, I don't trust her anymore. I have nothing against trans women, wouldn't mind a post-op trans girlfriend, but if there's a weenie, I'm not interested. She had no before photos, trans flag, or anything like that on FB that I could suspect anything. She looked extremely femme, had a bit of an Adam's apple, but I thought if something unexpected was there, she would have told me before. But she went wild. Not only did she write pretty nasty things to me, but apparently got in touch with other people and told them something like, I rejected her only because she is trans, made a hate speech against her or whatever. I've received a couple of death and rap threats. I could ignore that but feel like shoot. She also wrote to my friends also. Most of them asked me and understood. But a few of them responded that I was an a-hole and ran away just because of the genitals. True, if she had a female genitalia, I would stay. But for me, it was an absolutely disgusting experience. I don't want to associate with such a person. I don't trust her. But it's bothering my mind. So, am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Gender preference is not transphobia. What she did does not border on intimacy attack, it is intimacy attack. If you still can, report her to the police. There may not be much they can do, but at least it's on file in case she does it again or goes further. She knows this and is trying to get ahead by making you out to be the bad guy. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Intimacy orientation is personal, and a significant part of that is genital preference. I understand that you wouldn't want a long-term relationship involving intimacy with male genitals. If she isn't accepting of that, it's her problem. This is not about you having a problem with trans people. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So the girl I told you about? Things got even messier. After the whole mess, I thought I'd seen the last of her. But no, she showed up at my work. Yeah, you heard that right. She just waltzed in like she owned the place, making a scene, telling everyone how I'd wronged her. My boss was there, and let's just say he's old school. He didn't get any of it, just saw the drama and gave me the side eye for days. I was mortified. My coworkers were whispering, and I could tell they were judging me. I tried to explain, but who's going to believe me over a crying girl? I felt trapped, like the walls were closing in on me. I had to do something, so I went to HR. It was a whole thing, meetings and statements. In the end, they told her she couldn't come back, but the damage was done. My reputation at work took a hit, and I started looking for a new job because it was just too awkward. But wait, it gets worse. Remember how she contacted my friends? Well, she didn't stop there. She found my family online. My mom called me, confused and upset after getting a message about how I was a terrible person. I spent hours on the phone trying to explain the situation. My mom, bless her, she's a saint, but she didn't really get it. She kept asking why I couldn't just be nice to the girl. It was like talking to a wall. And then the bombshell. One of my so-called friends, let's call him Mr. Betrayal, decided to take her side. He started spreading rumors about me, saying I was closed-minded and cruel. I couldn't believe it. This was a guy I'd known for years, and he just turned on me like that. It felt like a punch in the gut. I was at my breaking point. I couldn't take it anymore. So, I did something I never thought I'd do. I cut her off completely. Blocked her number, her social media, everything. I even got a new phone number. It was the only way to get some peace. But just when I thought it was over, Mr. Betrayal did something unthinkable. He posted my personal information online. My phone blew up with messages and calls from strangers, some hateful, some downright scary. I was scared to leave my house. I felt like I was under siege. I went to the police, but they said there wasn't much they could do. It was a he said, she said situation, and I didn't have enough evidence. I felt so alone, like the whole world was against me. In the end, I had to move. New apartment, new job, new everything. It was the only way to feel safe again. I lost friends, sure, but I also found out who my real ones were. They stuck by me, helped me through it all. It's been a rough couple of weeks, but I'm starting to feel like myself again. Thanks for reading. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!